Hey fellow teen drama fans, I'm back today to talk about another show that I consider to be one of the core 16 dramas, and that is One Tree Hill. One Tree Hill started on the WB in 2003, and something really unique happened because it was the second teen drama to premiere that year. It followed The OC, which started in August. So teen drama fans had two new teen drama series to tune into each week, and I guess you might consider them competitors. They were on different networks. They were targeting the same demo, but the two shows obviously had very different feels to them. The OC was set in a ritzy, waspy area in California, and the OC was shot in, I would say, middle class setting in North Carolina, the fictional Tree Hill, which was actually Wilmington, North Carolina, and I'll talk about that more later. And the premises were completely different. The OC was a fish out of water story with Ryan moving in with the Coens and going from Chino to Newport and experiencing everything that kind of massive lifestyle change entailed, whereas the One Tree Hill did not have a fish out of water, but it had maybe a Cain versus Abel element to it. It had two brothers with the same father, different mothers. As a result, they were in different social classes, different social circles, but they became or were rivals on and off the high school basketball court. And over the course of the series, of course, they became really close, not just as brothers, but I would say also as best friends and confidants and cheerleaders for one another, which is really awesome. At the time, I was really into the OC, and I watched that every week faithfully. That, of course, didn't mean I couldn't also watch the One Tree Hill every week, but for some reason I didn't, and I don't really know why. I knew I had a couple of friends who watched. I kind of knew that there was a Nathan and a Lucas and a Peyton and a Haley, but I just wasn't that interested, and caught bits and pieces maybe, but the first episode I really remember watching in full, I've mentioned this before, is season 3 school shooting episode, and March is actually going to mark the 15th anniversary of that really important episode, if you can believe that. And I remember being so moved by it, not just for the way that they handled the concept of a school shooting, but also the ending, which had the twist that shocked us all, the fatal twist with Dan killing Keith, and it really set the show on a new course, and it was a course that I became more and more interested in, and I think I started viewing it on the regular with season 5, which is kind of funny because season 5 is the shortest of the seasons, except for maybe the last season, because of the writer's strike. Writers couldn't reach a new deal with the union, and so a lot of shows weren't getting new scripts. They couldn't air, they couldn't make new episodes, and One Tree Hill was one of the shows affected. And something that One Tree Hill did really uniquely for that season is that it had the 4-year time jump. The series went from the season finale in season 4 being with high school graduation, and then the premiere in season 5 was 4 years after college, their lives now. And I remember one thing that amazed me was how in real life, in our world, only a couple months had passed, but on screen for the characters, it really looked like years had gone by. And that's the magic of television. Just through changing some of the characters' hairstyles and their wardrobes, they looked so much older. If you put photos of, let's say, Haley at the season 4 finale and Haley at the season 5 premiere, you would probably think several years had passed between them, and that's what you were supposed to think as a viewer, but in actuality, in real life, it had only been a few months. So we got to give a lot of props to the makeup and the wardrobe department on that. That was really neat. Something that One Tree Hill had in common with some of its predecessors was the concept of having a central hangout for the group of friends to go to, and it was a hangout that also doubled as a concert venue, and that allowed them to bring on musical guests. And that, of course, was Trick, but one way that maybe distinguished One Tree Hill was that one of its main characters, Haley, of course, was one of those musical artists. Of course, Beverly Hills 90210 had Ray, but his time as a series regular was relatively short. There's a bit of a scandal there that I've reported on in the past, and you can read about on my old blog, teendramahorror.com. But of course, Haley on One Tree Hill was there for all 9 seasons, and Bethany Joy Lenz was a real-life musical artist in addition to her acting roles. And One Tree Hill really became known for a lot of great music, just like the OC did. Not only did each of them have their own venues, with the OC having the Bait Shop and One Tree Hill having Trick, but they each put out soundtracks and music collections featuring the musical stars, the real life performers that had come onto the show. One Tree Hill featured a handful of prominent groups like Fall Out Boy, and then they had others like Kid Cudi on the show. And both shows were really in tune with the times, and a lot of credit for that goes to their respective music supervisors, and those supervisors are in charge of kind of scoring each episode, but not scoring them in like the instrumental kind of way, but choosing the songs for the different scenes and what music is diegetic and non-diegetic. And for the OC, that was Alexandra Patsavis, and for One Tree Hill, Lindsay Wilmington, and they both deserve a lot of credit for that. Also in season 5, that was the first time I started interviewing the cast of One Tree Hill. It was 2008, that was the spring of season 5, and I was an intern for People magazine at the time, and one of my assignments was going to the upfront for what was then the CW. As we all know, the WB became the CW. And the upfront is when networks will present to advertisers in the spring, it's usually every May, what their slate of shows will be for the next year. The TV season starts in the fall. They'll showcase which shows are coming back, what their new shows are, and many of the cast members will attend. It's a fairly ritzy event. There's a red carpet, there's sometimes musical acts. It's basically you want to woo advertisers so they will give you their money and so that they will advertise on your network. And the red carpet, I interviewed the cast of One Tree Hill, Gossip Girl, and also 90210, because this was when 90210 was in development as well, the spinoff, of course. And I remember talking to Bethany about how she was on Guiding Light, and that was my favorite soap opera, and talking to Lee about Boy Meets World, because I loved Boy Meets World, and he was Stuart Minkus. Things like that. That was on the red carpet, and then I remember inside the actual event where the presentation was taking place, talking with Mark Schwann, who, as we all know, is not the man we thought he was, and I hesitate to even talk about him, though I am in a couple of days publishing an essay for TTW's premium subscribers that looks at how his behavior affects the show that we love and the legacy of the show and the fandom and things like that. And I'm not going to get into that right here. I'm probably going to do another video about it separately. I do not want this video to be a downer. But anyway, I bring this up to say is that I remember talking to Mark, and he was so bummed because he thought that the promo for the season finale spoiled what happened. And it kind of did and it kind of didn't. The promo showed, it pieced together clips of Lucas making his phone call. I'm at the airport. I've got 2 tickets to Vegas. Do you want to get married tonight? And it shows Lindsay picking up the phone and Brooke picking up the phone and Peyton picking up the phone. And he was pretty pissed. He thought, like, this is the ending of my season finale. This is my cliffhanger. And they showed what happened. And I remember arguing back that yes, but it didn't spoil the outcome of the cliffhanger. We don't know who Lucas picked, who it was he was calling. And we actually didn't find out until the season 6 premiere that fall. Luckily for me, I'm a Layden shipper. So Peyton and Lucas are my jam. And Peyton was the one he called. I was so happy about that. And it was really awesome, because season 5 was all about that angsty, unrequited love, because Peyton was still in love with Lucas and he was with Lindsay and trying to deny that he still had feelings for her. And as I've said in another video, that angsty, unrequited love stuff is the stuff that hits me hard. I don't know how else to explain it, but, the scenes where they're emotional and fighting with one another, those often stay with me more than, the happy scenes, more than, like, Peyton and Lucas exchanging vows. It's more the season 5 stuff that are playing in my head. But even still, it was nice to see them finally get back together. And it's funny that I say finally, because it's not like I was waiting, this whole long time. I wasn't watching for years since 2003. I was a latecomer. So I was actually lucky and didn't have to wait that long for them to move forward to a happy ending. To me, though, as a viewer, I don't think it was the ultimate happy ending. And what I mean by that is that Chad Michael Murray and Hilary Burton left the series at the end of season 6. We see them drive off with baby Sawyer, and they're supposed to be driving off to the sunset. And season 7 brought new cast members. This wasn't unheard of. Beverly Hills 90210 had a lot of cast changes throughout its 10 years, beginning with season 4. And once people started leaving, they, of course, brought new people in to replace them. For me, watching Beverly Hills 90210 for those 10 seasons, and with those cast changes and the revolving door, I know not everyone feels this way, but for me, it never stopped feeling like Beverly Hills 90210. It was still the same show to me. I can't say the same about One Tree Hill. Seasons 7, 8, and 9 feel very different to me than seasons 1 to 6. And that has to do with not just Chad and Hilary's departure, but the characters that they added to the cast and the storylines that they chose to embark on. And part of it is maybe a little unfair to me to even say, because seasons 1 to 6, I've now seen those episodes multiple times. One Tree Hill aired on the CW, it was in syndication on SoapNet, and it allowed me to watch to my heart's content. 7 through 9, those episodes, unlike many One Tree Hill superfans, I've only watched them each once. And that's because of how much I didn't enjoy them. It's entirely possible that if I gave them a second shot, they would grow on me. There's one episode in season 7, I and Love and You, that is one of my all-time favorite One Tree Hill episodes. But everything else, I'm just like, I don't like it. I don't want it. It does not feel like One Tree Hill to me. And I think sometimes people get confused with there being an endless amount of stories to tell, and whether that means those stories are worth telling. I don't believe you can ever really run out of ideas, new plots, new twists and turns, and things like that. But just because you can come up with new storylines doesn't mean that you should actually do those storylines. And I think 7, 8, and 9 were filled with storylines that were not worth doing. And I think the show could have gone out on top with the season 6 finale, which would have been a wonderful series finale. And it didn't get to do that. It kind of dragged things out in a way that I think hurts the show and its legacy. On the one hand, you could say, wow, One Tree Hill aired for 9 seasons. And that is an accomplishment. Do not get me wrong. That is a remarkable feat. It's only topped by 90210 and its 10 seasons. But if those last few seasons aren't as great as what came before it, was that really worth it? Do you want to go out on top, on a high, or do you want to kind of just, I don't even know how to put it, besides dragging things out, crawl to the finish line? I don't know. But for me, I said it at the time on the original TeenDramaHorror.com. I wrote blog posts about it, that I wished it ended with season 6. And I continued to live blog and live tweet the episodes through the series finale. I didn't give up on it in any way, but they just don't hold a candle to me for the earlier seasons. The other thing to note, and I hinted to this earlier, is Wilmington and how important that's become for me personally. And that's because I now live in Wilmington, which is not only Tree Hill in real life, but it's also Cape Side in real life. It's where Dawson's Creek filmed from 1998 to 2003. Dawson's Creek ended in May 2003, and One Tree Hill premiered in September 2003. And both shows had huge impacts on the local community here with the TV industry and the tourism. That's one awesome thing about One Tree Hill lasting so long, is that it really boosted the economy here. But when I watched both series, I had no idea that I would one day live here. But I moved here in 2014, and I've been here for 6 years now. And it's really a testament to why I'm such a teen drama whore. I moved to where the teen dramas were filmed, where they were set, where they were on my TV each week. It's pretty crazy. And I just wrote an essay about that a few days ago for Teen Drama Whore on Substack, my newsletter, and I will put that in the links below. And soon I'll be continuing with the last 2 shows that I consider among the 6 core teen dramas, and that will be Gossip Girl and 90210. So stay tuned for my first impressions on those. Bye for now.